Hello, in this video I want to look on some tools that we can use as digital photographer to bring our skill to next level. So as usual, you take a camera, you take a photo shoot, you model, but sometimes you want something more that if you create props, it can become very expensive, or maybe it does not even exist. Like example, this small image you can see right here, we have it angel wings. Of course, we can create them, not in CG, but honestly, when I pricing it was, they come up very expensive if you want to make realistic. Much easy, just create a CG element and compose afterwards. So you can add some more interesting elements. And of course, some of those, they not even exist. Like if you want flying saucer, or a spaceship, huge spaceship, or any other ones, or you need to go on location for the like this cyber city, you can go find this, but it's much easy, just create NCG and after put in compositings. The problem is when you start going with CG and you have no experience, you facing several dilemmas. One, it is I don't know what to do, and it's look very complex to me. And second, how expensive that be, how much you need to spend on this. So in this video, I want to show you very simple tools and a very simple way you can start doing this. Again, my experience based on many years, 30-something years of the training people how to work with creating CG environment. You can check some of those videos on a YouTube. I have over 3,000 videos how to create CG environments in a Vue, in other applications, World Machine Intelligence and other ones that you can use it in movies and other things, but also on the modeling and other elements. So can I say my experience come from CG and from professionally trained photographer and combine them together. And many times I found an easy way to do this actually. So let's go look on this. First off, it's many applications there that help you to do this. The one what I found out, it's actually free and relatively easy to use. And I say relatively because I'll point what's problem with some of those applications. It is DAZ Studio. And you can go to DAZ 3D and download it for free, DAZ Studio. It's actually come with free models as well. But as more you will work with this, you build more libraries. And how they make money, it is not applications, they make money by sell content. And the content is actually very good. I have some creators who are creating astonishing environmental or other elements, and the best parts, when you purchase them, you render created, you can use them as pre-render as a royalty free in your own commercial work. Of course, if you're using as in games and other ones, they have different licensing for this, but we're speaking as the compositing flat elements. You want to put it in there, you can do royalty free, so you can create all that stuff and apply it. It's got some quirkiness about this application, and we'll look in a second. But first, what I want to say, go right here, go DAZ 3D and download it free Studio. They have a bunch of different tools, and those tools will look in a special series that I'm preparing. Then is a computer graphics for photographers, where we'll look from the beginning and how to create this. Okay, when you're done downloading, if you're interested, you can go to shop environment and check right here. They have it other elements. One thing, my recommendation, don't rush it and buy it. Okay, almost everything what you get right here getting on sale. First things to check, go to Fast Grab. In Fast Grab you find very interesting elements for sale. Mostly of them have it new, but have it old as well. Be careful what you're looking. And of course they have a daily sale. My rule, I never pay full price on these items. When I purchase, I create my wish list. I add elements to my wish list. For example, right here we can go on my wish list where I clean up, and when I go to wish list, I'm come up like, oh, Cyberpunk haul 60% off, that is good price. Or for example, poses. Not everything I'm going to buy. Some I have it in my as a reference. For example, Planet Mountains, I have it as a reference because I can create very easy realistic scenery like this in the minutes in a Vue. But Again, this is my reference, what people buy it would look, but this will look separate. So right here in the wish list, add elements you wanted. Go check daily and see when pop up on sale so you can purchase them. This is easy way. And some element, I bought it for like 99 cents, $1. I mean, it's great savings. And again, if you try to modeling this by yourself, you will spend hours if you haven't even skills to do this. And that way, save you time. It means save you money. So, okay, let's say we download it. Next, what you want to do is manage content. And sometimes it's hard because, like for me, I have literally thousands of items I purchase. I have a big library. Be sure you're getting next. It is DAZ Central. It's where you can go access all your elements that you purchase. This is a standalone application, but it's help you to go over. If you click, for example, on a let's go like right here, we'll go to bundle. If you click on this, it will take you to the place for this bundle. And by the way, this is a very nice price for this bundle, like Cyberpunk. So you can purchase and you can download, you can review, or you can open inside the DAZ. By the way, I have some on personal recommendations if you're interested. I don't want to put it in this video, but I may put in comments. The authors who have found that creating a very good, realistic items. It's meaning they're very good polygons, very good model done, and the textures is very realistically nice to use. So, okay, that is, you can preview there. Let's go minimize this. And if you need to open, you just click open, and this will open automatically in your browser. So for now, example, let's go look on this Millennium Dragon. Okay, I'll go click open, and you'll notice when I click, it's come up and start launching DAZ Studio. Okay, right here we have it Studio open, and you notice it's kind of start guiding you. So if you first time, that is very nice to follow. You click OK, product, and you can see it, so you can start using. Let me stop this one right now, and we'll erase. We'll go back to all items that I have. Okay, if we look overall, one biggest problem for me with the DAZ Studio interface, it's not very user-friendly. It's a confusing, some properties separated on wrong, and I can go on about this. And it's a reason why it's very hard to use sometimes this application. The content, sometimes it's hard to navigate. They're improving with every release. It's getting better and better, but it is still hard to look. And here's come up with the biggest dilemma. Should you go and learn this application? Because all the way, because application, it is a tool. If you know your tool very, very well, you know what to do. But what I find out, actually, in current case, it's not total true. You don't need it. You will never probably go and fit clothes on a model or applying some texture to this when you need it. As a photographer, you just want render elements. You want pose, set maybe lighting to match your studio lighting, render and used in your compositing. And this is mostly what you needed to do. And of course, as you grow, you can add more and more complexity. And teaching people in my courses, what I found it's very useful, it is hand-on with the small steps. And as you're growing, you learn more and more by repeating those steps, making them more complex. That way you will know very well applications, know how to use. But beside that, I found again, I speak about a little bit minuses, some complex scenery, like for example, you saw that Cyberpunk alley. It's very hard to work inside the DAZ because it does not handle very good with all these complex lightings and a lot of meshes models. It does not do very well. So here's another applications we can look in another videos, which I recommend to use for this. But overall, and plus some other elements like no volumetric lights and etc. Okay, so let's go back right here. You'll notice we open and it was point to models. If you need from central, go directly, or you can go click on a product and you notice it's have a full list. One thing, sometimes it does not display full list, and reason you probably have it something in your search box on the top. Let's go like, for example, like robot, and you'll notice it searched through all and found robot. The problem is with me, the search, why I don't necessarily like to use it. It does not show all robots, robot skin or whatever. It's just showing whatever in title. I wish this one would also work on the tags, search and other things. So be careful. When you use it search, it will search by the title, but not necessarily what is that content. For example, alien collector, it can be a robot. This can be mechanical robot. So you can notice how say it does not necessarily organization work as well. So in this case, best way for you, maybe going through all these type of categories, but again, they're not representing correctly. I found out sometimes they miss different categories. What I end up using, it is going in the DAZ Central, a little bit here, and sometimes search in this area or browsing. So it's kind of mixed tools, but I do like that one tool first. Okay, let's go next. So we have a model. You select one. Let's say just alien collector. I'll notice how many of them, and right here, by the way, it's showing not just the models, it's showing materials, poses, environments, everything at one place, okay? And just one big pile of the content which you need piled through. But okay, let's go to alien collector. So we'll double time click, and we're going inside the container, that folder. Notice we have it figures and materials here. So and sometimes if you're going like, for example, mansion, you'll notice it's have it environment, light, materials, props, and this which is subfolder. Of course, we can click and view all of them, or we go specifically like environment. We have a day and night. We have it lights preset, different type of materials, props, or all together. So, those folders will be different depend on what is a creator allowed you to use, what was included in the pack. But let's go here, alien, and what we do, we'll select figure first. Notice right here is a collector. So when I'm selecting, I'm going double time open, but beware one thing, that on your right side, right here we have it seen, nothing is selected, because if you have it some model and you click on this, it can insert or try apply sometimes material of this to this model, and that is getting confusing kind of. So we'll go nothing select in your scene on the left. We'll go click collector, and it will take time and will placing for us this model in our scenery. Currently my preview is set as a NVIDIA array. Let me go to smooth shadowing. And one thing, you don't want to use it array all the time because it will take quite a bit time to render. It's very beautiful to review kind of models, but what I found out, it is a little bit harder. The other things might kind of disappointment a little bit is with navigation. So I used to have it Alt key and use the mouse to navigate like in Cinema 4D, View or other ones. In here, those keys does not work. If you press Shift, you press Control or mouse, they don't work. You maybe need set properties, but out of the box, they don't. So all you end up, it's navigating your scenery by using this navigation cube. Again, this is by default settings when you open your DAZ Studio. It's what happened. Of course, you have your tools where you can rotate, you can pan, zoom. The zoom on mouse is working. If you use middle scrolling button, it will work as the zoom as well. So sometimes I don't understand why they don't allow those functionality. They're out of the box. Okay, and right here we have our model. So it's look like a white blob right now because with the lighting, it's what they call by default use it headlight. It's light projecting out of our perspective view. We'll look down, we can see right here we have a top, left, all these different type of views, and we won't go too much in customization. Again, we are just photographers who want to do model to put it on a background. Okay, so I'll take this model, I will readjust. Some model maybe already have it poses. This one does not have it any pose. To have it poses, you can notice when I'm going over model, it highlights some segment. Let's click on one segment. I click on this segment, and notice certainly we have it this gizmo tool that allowed us in a scenery, just modifying. Okay, we can do directly in scenery. We also have a modification on the top left when we can do this, but mostly what I do, it is on the right side under positioning in the tabs, editor positioning, we have it right here, and it says up and down, twist around, and left and right. So and this is kind of nice because I like to use it on the right because I can visually see what is positioning. I also can put it directly numbers if needed. All other additional options, log, preview, like parameters, save parameters, don't worry about those ones right now. Simple things, just go and adjust. And we'll adjust this segment, we can adjust different segment, and so on. Some maybe have it a little bit more complex, some maybe have it less complex. This one actually have a tentacles, which is quite a bit complex. You can adjustments, and nice things with DAZ, it's come up some pauses, so you can take the pause and apply, and it will save you the preset on the time on this. Okay, so right here we preview, and let's look what more we can kind of view what we have right here. If we click down, we have it wire bonding, we have the solid box, which I don't know, maybe just on the placement will work. Wireframe, and give it precision. What I find for me, wire and shade, that maybe work well because it's given us, you notice with that direct headlight, it's given us wide, but we can see a little bit shape there. But again, it's work quite a bit fast. When I do primarily, I will use this or smooth shading. Texture shading does work. You can see at least preview and shading. And of course, array, it's very close to what you're getting when you actually start rendering this. So I use it between those switching. Array preview, again, on this one should be a little bit faster, but you can see how it's a little bit jaggery and delay. And it's because system need re-render and it's take time. So let's go back to our wire shader so we can preview at this time. And this point, we can go around, select, and what I do in this little bit next step, we can import video, but we don't do this. So let's go say I'm looking and I'm saying, okay, this is position about why I want to use this alien invader, maybe going from that. Let me twist and just like reposition. Let's say I like this way. By the way, you don't necessarily need to use the tools. We also can just grab the end and kind of twist it this way. It's nice work maybe on these tentacles, but what I found if we do this the other way, it's sometimes very unpredictable how it's work, but I think in our case for the tentacles it will work better. There you go. So just adjust those tentacles. Notice also as I clicking, we have it right here expanded, and this is our hierarchical structure. So it's have it our collector, the model we added. If we expand, we have it our hip and so on, legs and other stuff. We'll come back to this a little bit later. Okay, so we preset our models, we played a little bit with positioning, everything. Next, what we want to do, it is work with lighting. And as a photographer, you find out that you set up specific lighting on environment. For example, I want to be sure the light going from the side. If I'm render right now, that image still be rendering properly because the DAZ will add headlights. It's add also environment lighting. We can modify this lighting in a second, but usually I do like add distance lighting to simulate like sun position or other things. To add those lightings, you can see on the top, we have it create distance lighting. So let's click on this and we'll just set label, just have it default for this, click accept. And now we have another lighting. So if we look on the, let's go with the array, we'll should little bit change. Notice before, you remember it was a little bit flat because headlights. Now it's changed. Headlights, turn it off because we have our distant light. And now we have a shadow here and from distance. So let's go ahead and switch for the faster. We'll go to, let's go this one, wire shaded, and we'll switch. Actually, you know what? Let's go with this texture a little bit. And on a view select, I'm going, and notice right here, we have a distant light now available. Let's click on distant light. And now as we look through the light, what I want to do, I want to bring this light on a side right here. So it will be about, and you kind of cannot even zoom in and out on this. It's because it's a huge sun. Far away, it's a sun type of the lighting. It's going one directional, so you cannot do too much. So I'll go and put it right maybe on this side. It's where sun need to go. Let's go switch back to our perspective. And one thing I found out that at this moment, I want to actually find a way where I want to, maybe right here, I think will be good. And when I say, okay, I want to render from this, but I still need to tweak a little bit with the lighting and other stuff. Let's create camera from this point. Okay, on the top, we have our camera. We'll go click. And notice we have it, if you look right there, click on show more options, and reason we want to this copy active view, perspective view. So it will be create camera from this point as we're looking. In this case, I click apply and accept. So now we have it camera. If we notice right there, we have our distance light and camera created. Also in Dropbox, now we have camera distance light. So now if I have it my perspective view, I can go around, look what I needed, but I always can go back to the camera and have my camera preset. You can create as many cameras as you wanted for your scenery, so it's very useful this way. If you find some better angle, you don't necessarily need to move your camera, you can just create a new one. And of course, if I have my camera selected from this and modify, it does modify my camera presets. You need to keep this in mind. So be sure you select it perspective view if you want just view around and don't mess up with your camera. Okay, at this point we have our distant light, we have a camera, but I want to add a little bit more lighting to this. So let's go to click on the creating spotlight. Spotlight will be very similar. If you notice right here, we have it apply default settings or active view. So I'm just go with active view, or we can have it select camera. So let's go active view, click accept. And now we have it spotlight. Let's go switch to our spotlight view from point of view right here. And what I'm going to do it is move my spotlight and maybe a little bit closer to add. And when you photo shoot like in a studio and other ones, and you set up your key, highlight, other ones, so you can totally simulate here with the lights you wanted. Okay, I set this light right there. Let's go back to our camera view. And you can see we have lights at this point. Let's preview in array, okay, NVIDIA array. So it's give it us. Notice it does not give it that much power because it is probably not powerful enough lights producing. To producing proper lights, we need to go inside the light tab. And we want to be sure we're selecting proper lights in our scene navigation. So let's go ahead, select lights, we'll select spotlight, and luminosity, it's where we can increase power for our output. So I'm going ahead and just scroll down and create maybe about 90, about 100. Notice as I did this, we increased lights a little bit better. Okay, let's go ahead and even pop up way higher now. And it's again getting brighter, so we can create this way highlights. Overall, you can use it just different spotlights, put it and create a different lighting elements as well. We don't necessarily need to go through all of this, but just generic spread angle, it's how wide it is. Let's switch to our spotlight to look on this, and look right here, our angle. You see we have it more cover, or we can get closer, so it's spreading point of view. So right here is what we're highlighting. This is our angle, and don't worry about shadow type right now, but if you want to create maybe a deep shadows map. But overall, I found that just in our case, we'll probably just leave it. Don't worry about that in this case. In shadows, we don't worry about height, width in this case. Render emitter, yes, we want preview at this time. And well, the emitter render, it will be white dot if we put on top. Sometimes kind of visible, but if you don't want it, we can disable it. And of course, luminosity is very important. Notice temperature, it says to 65, so it's our daylight. If we need a warmer, we can go down to maybe like 54 or wherever. We can create different lighting temperature to matching, but we'll go back to daylight kind of overall look. You know, maybe for the fire, we can get warmer to have it like candlelight or other things. Again, our power was before, but overall, this is how we control with spotlight. Let's switch to our camera view. And let's assume we kind of done with this. We're done with lighting setup. We're done with all these different elements. Well, we can go and select different materials. And what if I want, for example, have it this dark? What's happening if I click right now? I will get error. Let me try it. Or in this case, nothing happened. The reason is I select spotlight. This is important things to understand in this scenery. To apply poses and materials and other things, we need to select properly object. So I'm going to select collector now. And while the collector is selected, we'll go click on a black. And you'll notice now it will switch to the black color for our collector. There you go. So now we have a new color. And this is, I found, sometimes a little bit frustration. The easy fix to this, if you click and it's wrong selected, it could recognize this and just prompt you, says, hey, you need select object, not spotlight. But again, I don't know all mechanics behind how it works. Maybe a reason for this. Okay, so let's say we set up our lighting how we want it. We set up our pose. We add material to this. And now we want to render this to have it output so we can use it in our compositing. To do this, we actually need to go down to the render settings. And even you can go from top menu, it says render and render. We don't want to do this because we want to have it special settings. Let's go click on all. And you notice right here we have a lot of those settings. They are grouped in other elements, but overall I want just showing you all of them at the same time so we kind of pay attention to that. Notice some of them is colored, which is kind of very nice and you know what they're related to. But for us, what we need to look, it is a size. And usually I render in very high resolution size. So I can use it on my images because when I shoot with, for example, R5, I have it about 8,000 pixels by something. So it's very large images and I want to match that resolution if needed. So at least 600 pixels. Our aspect ratio, it is, you see this frame. So if I need it, I can make it wider screen if I necessary or smaller. Overall, you'll need to just see this is what area will be rendering. And of course, you want to be sure you have a full model. You utilize as much as possible on this. And notice when I do it, it does change your pixel size. Be sure it is not just keeping precisely. So if you change and you still want to go higher, you need to go back and readjust your pixel size when you do this. Okay, next we want to go to all of this sampling, just leave it as alone them. What is important, it is the environmental, lighting, and draw the ground. If you notice right here, you can see hardly this is shadow. And it will render image for us with a shadow. But you maybe not necessarily want to use it. If you want it, keep it. If not, just uncheck draw the ground. And now you won't have it any shadowing displaying. Of course, if your ground had some reflection light, that will illuminate this as well. But mostly, don't worry about this. Just add additional light source on the bottom if you need it. But overall, almost always, I'll disable my draw the ground. So I'll have it clean, nice model. And if I need shadows, I can create it. The shadows also very useful if you need it. For example, if you want to simulate some shadows or reflection and place it on a model, you can do this way and just use the shadows itself. Okay, next, let's look on environmental map. And that's what's happening. You'll notice the light does not necessarily come from one source. So let me do this way. Let's go switch to the water shaded, and we're going to So what's happening, it is creating this environmental DOM. Just imagine you have a huge HDR, high dynamic range, they're like a ball, and you're inside this, and it's projecting lighting, so it will have other ones. We can always change by clicking and select different type or create your own environmental map. It's very good if you have the reflective or other elements, but that also is affecting our lighting. So let's say if we're going here and we'll set this to 0. Okay, for example, just around there, that should be good. And we'll switch back to our NVIDIA array. Notice how dark it is. We still have our distant light, but that is environmental light. It's what was affecting. So now if we take our distant light by itself, even it's going from same direction where it was environmental light, and we're going in increasing our luminosity. Let's pop up quite a bit high so we can see effect. This is our distant light they're producing. So overall, we did not just have the two lights. We did not just have a distant and spotlight. We also had our environmental light. It's a third light that does not, so we can see here as a light source, even we have our environmental options is enabled. So if you don't want any of those kind of environmental, you can take down, then you will have it all of this with shadowing and other effect. Then you'll need kind of a little bit more work with what shadows you wanted, depth shadows, or you want other ones effect, and so on. Sometimes what I do, I set my distant light very bright, so it's my main source, everything, but I do use it environmental mapping, maybe a little bit decreasing around 1, whatever. So it just give me a little bit nicer on a reflection and smoothing on the shadows and everything, and just give it more natural look on this. And beside, I have my own environmental map that I created, and I preloaded them and using in my render when I need it. And we can look on those sometime later as we're going. And when we're done here, all what we need to do is just go ahead and click render. You know, for this purpose, I'm just going to have it only 1000 pixels, so we can render very fast. Let's go click render, and you'll notice right here we have our render progression. This should be very fast. Okay, and when it's done rendering, we have our image. I set my set as PNG, so I don't have any background, anything. And right here, this is already isolated object, which is kind of nice. All what I need to do, just save this object, and it will save in my folder drawn PNG. Of course, you can select a different TFF, JPEG, but I found PNG uncompressed with the transparency work very well. And now we can just go ahead and save it. Okay, so at this point, already you can use it. Right here, for example, some scenery, I did it kind of in that valley. You saw Cyberpunk Valley render. And this is a little bit more to this because I exported, imported view, add additional light source. It was a little bit more complex. We won't go in this, but overall here's scenery. But if you render elements, you can just now drag and drop this element. And notice it is PNG, so it's already isolated. You can scale, putting like maybe, you know, let's put like around here. There you go. Now we have our drawn. We can also even put it behind our model. And you know what? I don't know where it's the go down, maybe right here. Yep, that is already after mask created, so we can just even implant inside here with adding coloring. And I will just do very sloppy but very fast job, so you can kind of see how we can easy embed this in our scenery. Okay, let's go right there, decrease, take our blue light, there you go, a little bit bluish on this side. Okay, let's go select pink, a little bit pink on this side, right there. I think it is still a bit high, so let's go select and put it above. there, so we don't have lighting going right there. And again, leave it on this, leave it right here. Let's go take our drone masking, and to put behind, we'll just leave it a little bit like right there. Okay, and we can add more and more elements, but you saw how it's very easy. We just drag, drop, put it inside. We have this lighting kind of preset, but overall, of course, this is just a randomly I open image and drop in. I wasn't stop lighting for this. It just end up matching kind of with a light position. But if you have the other lights, you can match when you render. And this is a big benefit to using computer graphics, because you can select model, you can photo shoot, and after you can take these elements and put it inside. And of course, you can add more and more to this. Like example, let's go actually on top till we speak about, and I can go select lights right here. Now just make it a little bit glowing. Switch to the screen. So and so on. We can add all these lighting elements here if we need it. Kind of like right there. A little bit more embedded in our scenery, but point is this: we can select, we can create all these elements, and much easy. So let's go back to DAZ Studio. Overall, what I want to do is maybe going one more time, but with less explanation, just to showing what we're going to do, and just go over, so it will help you to see those simple steps without any complication, without doing any very fancy stuff, or just very, very simple things. So let's go create brand new scenery. We don't want to save this. Okay, we'll go on a preset. And one thing what I says, it's this a little bit hard because you have it installed smart content library. It's kind of very hard to, they probably try to navigate, make for you easy, but I found it's a little bit more actually complex. So instead we'll go back to our DAZ Central, and from DAZ Central let's go select some models we want to do, and let's go see what we can find here. We have some beautiful mice and gargoyles. So yeah, it's got a lot of things, wings, and I think, did I miss it? Well, we can find a robot. Okay, well, let's go ahead with this one, with the god. So we'll go open this elder god. Again, when we do this, it's redirect us so we can go follow step by step. Okay, very nice. So we can find. Again, remember, if you go back, it won't display everything, because right here it's put it in a search. So what it does is put in a search the name of the specific. So we'll go inside, and right here we have our figures. We can use it. We have different materials, and we actually have it poses with this, so we can use it. Let's go figure. We'll go preload the figure right there. Okay, it's take aside, and again, it is set to this. We'll go to, let's go smooth shaded, see, and sometimes like in this model with smooth shaded, it still work very well. It does not work all the time, and it's depend on somewhat different maps, whatever it's preloaded. But let's say right here we can preview, and next we go to materials, and let's say I want our blue material. So for this, I want to be sure that my model that I want to apply is selected. Actually, let's go green just to be different, so you can see green preloaded. Let's go into poses, and same with pose, we want to be sure we apply to right element. So we'll take this and we'll apply pose right here. We have the beautiful pose applied. Let's go next, find the angle I wanted, and I want like maybe from here, make like something ugly screaming. Yeah, there you go. To bottom, we'll just go from this element. I don't need it, I'll just pose and anything. And this is sometimes what I find out, it's nicer when you can find bundles on sale which include pose, because pose save you a lot of time. Of course, you can go inside and tweak, and it's what I do. I have a base pose and I readjust, but overall poses does help you give it basic. Okay, Okay, we adjust this way. Next, let's go click and preview with the array, for example. And again, this is on, if you have an NVIDIA, let's work on this. So you can see lighting. These lights, because we don't have any lights in ours, it's all come from environmental lighting. And we're kind of going to use this environmental lighting in this case. Next, let's go switch back to this texture. I want to add my distant light. Accept. We'll go select distance light from drop down, and I will position. Again, I will position from right or left, whatever you want it. Well, let's go from this. Actually, just to be different, we'll go from this because our environmental lighting from that side. Okay, so let's go perspective view, and you know what? Because I'm here, let me add a camera. Be sure you check copy perspective, so it's second down. Again, and if it's hidden, click show more options. So you're expanding. Accept. Now we have it, our camera created, so we'll lock there. Let's go next to add spotlight. Okay, and I want just probably from perspective as well. Let's click right there. Next, we'll go take our spotlight selecting so we can preview. I'll go to readjust my spotlight. Just move around, like around right there, and you can see. And you know what? Even with spotlight, we'll do something even more fun. We'll go down and we'll highlight in his mouth, like maybe lights beam coming from his mouth. So you're not necessarily need to highlight. You also can use it to pre-create. Think in your head what is going to do, what is the model going to be applied this. And as we're selecting, we'll select tab light. Let's pop this so it will be even brighter going right there. You can see right there luminosity going. Okay, let's go select distant light right there, and we'll increase luminosity on the distant light so it will be a little bit brighter. Let's select our camera view and switch to array for this case. Right there you can see distant light. We have it environmental, maybe environmental too much. So when we're happy with everything, we'll go to our render setup tab. Okay, and we'll go to all files. Oops, actually I need to go to rendering. Let's go expand. I click accidentally there. Okay, and we'll want to go in our editor. So we do have it presets, and presets is okay. We can use those ones if we for specific editing, but I want to go in editor. You don't need to go worry about advanced, just simple. So we want to be sure we have the right settings. So let's go right now, it just says 4000, just for fun. Okay, we could also cut down, for example, like reduce right here, make it a bit more squarish. And you know what, right now let's leave it the shadows on. Okay, so we'll do this, and let's go down, scroll right here to our environmental. Let's just experiment. We'll take environmental down, and it should be have quite a bit darker right there, so we have stronger shadows. I think that has worked very well. We'll leave it the resolution there. Remember the ground off or ground on, that will have its shadows, but I said before we can try just render with shadows so we can compare and see what's happening. And also on distance light, let's go select deep shadows so we'll have it a little bit better on this. And this, I don't know if you can see, but slightly shadow right here is going from environmental, which is not that bad. We'll just ignore it right now. Okay, I think that is more kind of okay right here. It's by the mouth a little bit not enough, so I'm going to switch to texturing. We'll go back to our spotlight, and you know what, on a spotlight, let's select spotlight. We'll go to light settings, and let's go spread our angle actually, and pop up luminosity way higher, and temperature a little bit warmer. So I just want to be sure it is going right there. Okay, that should work for us. Let's go to switch to camera. So we have lights kind of going around there. Okay. When we're ready, Okay, our setting is set. Let's go click render. Because we have a very high resolution, it will take a little bit longer than before to render, but it should kick in any seconds. And of course, as it's rendering, you can preview, and you'll notice as a render right now we have the grainy, so it's going to like multi-passing, so it's going one, it's making better, more and more. And right here we have it from our spotlight, lights going there, so it may help. Sometimes you maybe want reposition to create a little bit more lights if you want like light beam. What I do with spotlight as well, if I plan my render and I says, okay, right here will gone, for example, somebody shooting this monster, okay, and they have it in specific areas they're trying to shoot, so I'll put a spotlight on those to highlight, just pre-made model easier. But overall, you don't necessarily need to do this. You can easily just do this time. Okay, and my render window was hiding behind, so it's 90% completed so far. Until it's rendering, let me give you 96, give you a couple tips. One thing, this is a relatively fast render. However, if you have it semi-transparent or a light background or like a fog or something, lighting going on, that will take a long time. So that is a problem. Is simple render, it will render quite a bit fast, simple models with a reflective lighting. If you have a transparency pass-through or subsurface scattering kind of almost lighting, like a candle wax, that will take quite a bit long time. And of course, in a DAZ, you need to create a special box to simulate fog because it does not have it and so on. And those is taking, for example, I have this scenery, then I was creating inside complex scenery. And beside that, DAZ does not very well handle big amount of polygons. It starts acting very, very slow. And by the way, I have it 16 core, I have it quite a bit fast machine with 60 gig RAM and all, 64 gig RAM and all the stuff. So it's not problem with the machine, it's problem with application not yet optimized for this. It's the reason why big complex scenery I like to export and use it there. But what it does very, very good, it's to render these models, one small models that we done here, and head, and you can render those ones very fast. You can save those elements, and after you can go inside the Photoshop and import those elements inside the Photoshop. So this is what that does very, very well. So let's go ahead, import this one, and it's just simple drag and drop. And notice what's happening when I render with shadows. It's okay if I know how high it was, like it's already have shadows here. But if I render with the shadows now, if I want to place it somewhere, I need to deal with the shadows. Of course, it's not hard to deal it. All what we need to create a mask, you know, and just mask out the shadows if you need it. But why do this if we can render with disable mask? So it's the reason why I recommend to disable the ground. And also notice with the lighting, because how it's going, not necessarily matching, but we can match in. And again, this is another component we just created very easy with PNG. I hope you find this video kind of useful for you. It's not very complex. I'm trying to go very simple, open, add models, creating. The application by itself, it can create a lot of stuff. It's very powerful. DAZ Studio is a very powerful application with a lot of options, and that is a big problem because you can be lost in those options if you just starting up. So keep it simple on the beginning, use for what you need it, and always you can discover more stuff to do. Okay, thank you again for watching. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up, put a comment, make its video a little bit more accessible, and register on YouTube. You also can join the Patreon supporters. I have way more videos and assets there available for them, but overall you don't necessarily need it. And thank you again for all your help and support.